will see pockets of wet snow and sleet already for the first part of the weekend on Saturday. Sunday gets even colder. We'll see areas of lowland snow throughout Puget Sound. They will alternate with sun breaks, however, so this will be the back and forth between the sun and the snow showers. By Monday, we're back to flurries and the sun starts to take over and it gets plain cold next week. Up in the mountains, its snow level comes crashing back down over winter storm warning to account for the several feet rather than inches of snow we're going to see in the high country by the time this wraps up. A winter weather advisory in place now for parts of the lowlands of western Washington because into Saturday, we'll see a trace to 3 inches of snow piling up. This will be, again, just over the next 24 hours. There is more snow where this is coming from. We'll talk about the totals we could be seeing in some areas of the metro region as we head into Monday morning.
Yeah, keep it right here for those updates, of course, and we'll keep a track on the roads as well here. Check it out sports. We got the Senior Bowl game going on today at 11:30 among college football. Men's basketball, Washington and Minnesota, tip-off just right now. And Pro Bowl fun been going on since Thursday. Of course, tomorrow, all your NFL biggest stars get together for the annual flag football game. Once again, second year in a row, it'll be played at the Camping World Stadium in Orlando, Florida. Now, for a look at the roads, KT.
Traffic on the 4s, sponsored by Northwest Crawl Space Services.
In Everett, a crash is blocking the I-5 southbound off-ramp to Marine View, then I-5 southbound from 526 to the 405 I-5 split. You're moving with no delays. See in the morning drive pickup on 99 both ways in pockets through Linwood. Construction this weekend has the 520 westbound on-ramp from Montlake closed, plus all weekend the I-5 southbound off-ramp to Boylston Avenue, both closed until early Monday morning. The Snoqualmie Stevens passes. Traction is required, truckers and drivers alike. And a wind advisory midspan Tacoma Narrows Bridge now until further notice. It started yesterday in the afternoon. 16 eastbound onto I-5, you're crash free. And the Valley Freeway northbound connecting onto I-405, no problems. In the Northwest News Radio 97.7 AM 1000 Traffic Center, I'm KT.
Thank you, KT. Our forecast now for the weekend here. Saturday at all the Puget Sound. This will be a day of wet snow at times. Windy conditions will continue from the south there. Gusty here. We're seeing up to 20 miles per hour. A few white caps here. We're seeing on Elliott Bay. It'll be cold tonight. Tomorrow, a bit calm before we see clouds rolling in here to load up maybe some possible snow and accumulations for Sunday evening into Monday morning. Definitely going to be wizard, make that blizzard conditions of wizard. Up in the mountains here to continue by late Monday, early Tuesday. Most mountains here in skis areas say they could have over 2 new feet of new snow. Right now, Seattle 37 here at Northwest News. I'm Mark Christopher. Good morning.
The following program was paid for by LifePoint Law and does not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of News Radio management or staff.
Aging Options, how can we help?
It's time to know your options and master your future. My life, my plan, my way. LifePoint Law presents Aging Options with elder law attorney and life planning coach Rajiv Nagaich. Health, housing, finance, legal, and family. Know your options. Aging Options is not a law firm, but Rajiv is a lawyer. You should not reveal things you wish to keep confidential in this public setting. This program offers general advice. Having your questions answered does not constitute an attorney-client relationship. Contact your attorney or other professional to discuss your unique needs before taking any action related to the subjects discussed in this program. Now, here is nationally recognized retirement planning authority and host of national public television program, Master Your Future, Rajiv Nagaich.
We're about to meet one of the busiest guys in the world of helping you plan retirement. He lives it. He breathes it. He talks about it. You'll see. Tune in for the hour as I have a lot of fun producing this guy, along with giving you traffic and weather along the way and news. Some topics for this week. I'm glad you're so in tune here to learn some stuff about retirement here. Inherited IRA rules. Have you inherited an individual retirement account? If so, you need to pay attention. The rules governing what you can do with those funds have changed here with the new year. And if you don't know the following guidelines, it could cost you. Rajiv will have details. Hiring a retirement coach. Here we go. There are personal coaches for just about everything these days, so why not for retirement? It's a fast-growing field. Today we'll look at what a retirement coach does and doesn't do. Rating the lists. Another article Rajiv's going to address. Don't you just love those best places to retire lists? Seems like there's a new one every week. But how do the so-called experts decide Should you pay attention, or are these lists just to get you daydreaming? And then managing a loved one's finances. If you've been selected to be the financial manager for a loved one, perhaps their financial power of attorney even, you have some big decisions ahead of you. And we're going to talk about what's involved in managing a loved one's finances, and we'll take your calls on things retirement as well. It's all right here on Aging Options. Here is the golden phone number. No appointment necessary. Rajiv Nagaich is all yours during the program. You just dial 206-421-1000, and he's already jotting down notes of doing some free retirement seminars here for February. Busiest guy I know, helping you plan your retirement. Ladies and gentlemen, Rajiv Nagaich.
Hey,
Hello.
there we are. Hey, thank you, Mark. And can you believe it? Today is what? February 1.
Groundhogs tomorrow. We'll call the winner for us,
I know, but wasn't it just yesterday? It was January 1. We were just waking up to a brand new year, but it's still brand new, and it's still on the newer side. Hopefully, if you've made some resolution, you're sticking to those. And if you have not made a resolution, resolve 2025 to be the year that you take charge of the rest of your life and make sure that it's going to be a good one, and not the ones that you and I kind of worry about. You know, when we grow old, what will happen to me? Where will I be living? What happens if I fall ill? Will my money outlast me, or will I outlast my money? All those types of things. This is what the show is all about, is to help make sure that you have some confidence in your gait, that you have done what you know you need to do to have a life that is much better than what the average retiree in America faces. So with that, let's go to these stories, Mark. The first one is talking about the inherited IRA in 2025. Plan carefully to avoid penalties. This is something that we've been talking about for a few years now. A few years ago, we changed the rules on the inherited IRAs. Right? It used to be that if you ever inherited an IRA, you had the rest of your life to take the money out. We know something called a minimum required distribution that is attached to all qualified funds. Qualified funds would be any fund that looks like a 401k plan, a retirement plan, 403b plan, KEO plan, anything that you have put aside money in. When you put money, it is pre-tax, but when you take the money out, it is all going to be taxable. The question used to be, well, when do I have to take out, and how much do I have to take out? Under the current rules, if you have a IRA or retirement plan, you will need to start taking minimum required distributions, basically an amount based on your longevity, according to the IRS tables, starting age 73. Now that in a few years is going to be age 75. So we keep pushing this thing off, right? Because a lot of people don't need it, and you take any money out, it's going to be taxable. And so the government has been helping out those who don't need the money. We keep pushing the date back. But if you were to pass away and your children inherit the IRA, under the old rules, it used to be pretty simple. You know, the child has much longer to live. So using the same longevity tables, the IRS would say you can take the money out over time, over the rest of your life. So the tax consequence was minimized. Well, guess what? A few years ago, the government said, no, we don't like that. You know, this is too much. We need our money. We need our taxes. We need some money coming in. So you people who are inheriting IRAs, you will only have 10 years to take the money out, right? So initially the thinking was, okay, well, 10 years. The law didn't say that you had to take the money out in year 1 or year 2 or year 5. You could take it out anywhere between year 1 and year 10, and all the money would be taxable when you do take it out. So people were postponing it and say, I don't want to take it this year, I'll take it in year 10. And if you didn't take it in year 10, the IRS would pretend you took it in year 10, and they would tax you for it. Well, guess what? Last year in 2024, the IRS came out with regulations, and they clarified that, no, you need to be taking the money out 1/10 every year. If you don't take it out, we will penalize you. And that's what you need to be worried about at this point in time. Now, remember, Roth IRAs do not have any tax consequences to it. You still have to take a Roth IRA distribution over 10 years, so 1/10 every year. But you do not have any tax consequences. So, to the word to those of you who are inheriting IRAs, be careful. You have penalties to deal with if you don't follow the rules.
I think there was 5 times there in what Rajiv just shared, 5 reasons for you to make a phone call. You've got questions. I know. I can hear you. I didn't know that. 206-421-1000. Again, 206-421-1000. Forget February. It looks like he's going to bonus us in March with free seminars here to meet Rajiv. 90-minute seminars. They're free. Stick around. You'll learn all about them.
The buck doesn't stop here. Hi, this is Brian Calvert, letting you know that you can learn more by going to AgingOptions.com for blogs, videos, and the Aging Options portal. Visit AgingOptions.com for blogs, videos, and the Aging Options portal.
Traffic on the 4s. Sponsored by Northwest Crawl Space Services.
A semi-rollover, State Road 18 near Tiger Mountain Summit is completely laying on its left side in the ditch. You are moving through freely, but when that tow truck arrives, both ways will be closed to get this semi out of the ditch. Otherwise, problem-free in and out of the city on I-5. Now, from Marysville into the city, southbound on I-5, you're moving well. 99 southbound through Linwood and Shoreline, no problems. If you're moving northbound, I-5 Seattle to Marysville, you are moving freely, and both Lake Washington bridges, you are crash-free into and out of the city. Now, the Snoqualmie and Stephen passes. Some blizzard conditions have been reported. Truckers and drivers alike, traction is required. In the Northwest News Radio 97.7 AM 1000 Traffic Center, I'm KT.
All right, thank you, KT. Our forecast here for the weekend. Here's what we know for now. Latest forecast around Seattle, Western Washington. A break in the clouds, you're getting it right now. Temperatures today will be about 43 for a high. Then some wet snow at times when it gets colder. And then tomorrow, cloudy conditions. And then later in the day, evening hours, cold enough that we might see some snow in elevated areas around the sound here. Maybe 500 feet or so. It'll stick. Many areas will get accumulation. Others will say, what happened? We didn't see it. We will know more tomorrow as we get closer and closer to the snow moving into the area. It's a given that we're going to have a lot of snow in the mountains here. It's been a blizzard condition up there at Oh, the overtime you've had to schedule, how many years you've been at this industry, and you've favored all this work, but now it's time to play a little bit. Land of do as you please, but you got to have a plan because things can get out of control, just like your life after you got married and had kids, and like, wait a minute, it's supposed to be perfect. So was retirement, but things do happen along the way here. Hiring a retirement coach, another item that comes to mind here as you listen to Aging Options with your host, Rajiv Nagaich. Personal coaches, just about everything, so why not a retirement coach? It's a fast-growing field. Today, looking at this retirement coach. Is it good? Is it bad? But then again, a show like this, Rajiv, you're like a coach already to so many. What do you say?
You know, this blew my mind away. There's actually a profession called retirement coaches, and we know it, and this is going to become, I promise you, Mark, this is going to become much more prevalent. The two things I predict: your medical industry is going to change. The way that you are able to access the services of a doctor, they slowly but surely are starting to morph. I can talk about that if you have any questions, how that's going to go. And the second thing that's going to happen is life, as it becomes more and more confusing, more complex to go ahead and put all these pieces together about retirement planning. It opens up the opportunities for people to come up and say, I will be a retirement coach. So, you know, I was pretty interested in this article and say, retirement coach, isn't that what I do? I mean, effectively, I'm a lawyer. I went back to law school. But what do I talk about? I talk about how do you approach healthcare, how to pick the right insurance policy, how to pick the right medical doctor. I talk about housing. What is the biggest mistake people end up making? There's a story that we have about housing, the best places to retire. You know, what is wrong with that article, you know? Then we talk about finances. I'm a lawyer, mind you, but I'm talking about finances. And I'm partnering with people like Saket Sanger of Better Financial Services. Why? Because in the end, the amount of money doesn't matter. There's going to be a lot more than that. But is that the information you get from the financial industry, legal industry? I'm a lawyer. Traditional legal planning, what they ask you to do is to build a bunch of documents. But are the documents by themselves going to be enough? And the answer is no. And in the end, even when you do the documents, do you recognize that someday when you fall ill, you're not going to read a single document that you signed with the lawyer and paid thousands of dollars to go and prepare, right? Hundreds or thousands, whatever you prepared. You will not use a single document. That's what I talk about. Why? Because if you take a look at retirement and its complexity, it really has 5 key areas to the whole thing. As long as you're healthy, you're living a dream. But the moment you fall ill, that's when the nightmare begins, because it becomes a housing issue. Housing issue becomes a financial issue, because Medicare is not going to cover long-term care illnesses. Most people don't have any. So how do you afford these care costs? How do you make it easy for your children, other people to manage your finances when you are no longer in control? They have to step up. And then it'll become a legal issue. If somebody is lucky, points you to an elder law attorney, these attorneys will help you find a way to cope with these crazy expenses, these long-term care expenses. And then ultimately, family has to pick it up. They have to do everything. So at the planning stages, many years ago, looking at it through my father-in-law's lens, who had Alzheimer's, ends up in the nursing home, I figured all this stuff out. And I've been for 23 years preaching the same gospel. So what am I? Am I a lawyer? Am I an elder law attorney? What do I do? I call myself a life planner, right? But then I run into this article. There are all sorts of coaches out there say, wow, this is great. I've got cousins that I didn't even know existed. 34,000 cousins that I have in this area. So I was eager to delve into this article. And so I went there and looked at it and said, okay, well, what kind of advice do these people end up giving? Well, a retirement coach helps a person explore the non-financial aspects of retirement, such as purpose, identity, new activities, daily schedules, social connection, volunteering. So I'm looking at it and saying, look, the average person in America, or the average person in the world, I should say, what are your basic needs? Your basic needs are, look, I want to live a good, healthy life as long as I possibly can. But when I grow old, don't throw me out of my house and put me into a care facility against my wishes.
I don't want to go broke.
I don't want to go broke.
I don't want to be a burden to Jesse and Jamie.
Right.
I want to just have a good life and just do my thing.
So I'm looking at that. Okay, that's the basic average. 90% of the world is going to look at that, right? A retirement coach helps a person explore the non-financial aspects of retirement. So far, so good.
All right.
Such as purpose, identity, new activities, daily schedule, social connection, volunteering. And there's a name attached to this one, CFO, Credential Retirement Coach at some company in Oregon. So I went down to the thing and I'm saying, will this person help you stay out of a nursing home?
Good
Will
question.
this person help you not become a burden on your loved ones? So what this industry is focused on, just like anything else, I'm telling you, Mark, it is so predictable. Follow the bloody money. When you have all the basics, you think in your mind, you have all the basics taken care of. Maybe you have a $10 million estate. Maybe you have a $5 million estate. You have no debt. You're living well. I mean, your income is going to be enough. Then you're not going to worry about falling ill till you fall ill. Till you fall ill, you're going to be thinking about all these things, and these coaches are going to be able to help you with purpose and identity and new activities, schedule, social. I suppose that makes sense for a small number of people, and they will be able to afford that. But what about the average person? Who is looking out for the average person in America? And that's why this article becomes so important. So I'm so glad Tony picked this article for today so I could rip it apart and say, be careful with what you define to be a coach. If you go, look, the brilliance of marketing is this. Everyone who is trying to sell something can come up with a slogan, spin it around, and make it feel like, oh my God, if I don't do that, I'm a bloody flaming idiot. I need that more than I need life itself. But in the end, when you take a look at in the long run, there's only so much time we have. There's only so much money we have to focus on things, and what do you need to focus on? And the article does a good job of saying, be careful who you hire. And I'm saying, yeah, I mean, they should have come with a warning. The average coach is not going to really help you with the basic foundational issues. Now, if you have a good foundation, you know that if you fall ill, you know where you're going to be. You know how that you're not going to run out of money because you mapped that out. You know what your children are going to do. All the foundation is there. Then this coaching makes all sorts of sense to me. But if you don't have the basic foundation, then you're trying to basically say, I want ice cream and I want a little cherry on top, but you don't have the ice cream, you only have the cherry. Well, the cherry by itself is not going to make the whole sundae, is it?
Well, one thing you say every week, Rajiv, on the show is the fact that, again, you don't want to be a burden to the family as you get old and all of a sudden you need some care. Of course, you don't want to run out of money. And, of course, I don't want to end up in an institution with people I don't know, 4 white walls saying, where am I? Boy, this is it.
Right.
So, again, and I'm just curious, maybe I'm going too far. Have you ever seen any kind of a fee of these so-called retirement coaches and what they're thinking of their value? Or
I was curious to see whether there was any website that gave a fee, and it does not. I suspect it won't be very much. It'll be a few $1,000s that you'll pay somebody for their time to go ahead and get it done.
And what's great about this, everybody, is Rajiv brings up these topics every week, like hiring a retirement coach. Tony gets them right to the website, lifepointlaw.com. Go to the blog. You can read more about it, do more exploration. You'll find that lifepointlaw.com is kind of like that bookmark, that favorite website that becomes, let's just say, your online retirement coach for giving you ideas and things to think about. It's a great website. I'm looking at it right now.
And, and one of the things that this article points out what a coach cannot do, and it's pretty clear about it. Retirement coaches cannot and should not advise people about their financial well-being choices. And then it goes on to say these people should not be talking about mental health issues. And I'm saying, well, isn't the point of a coach to really look at the broader picture and say, in the long run, what do I want to go ahead and have? In the very end, where do I want to be? How do I want to be? When we come back, let me give you a tease. How we plan and how we should plan are different. And how we plan is doing it in small, bite-sized chunks. And we are constantly, for the rest of our life, going to make adjustments. But what does that mean to you? And why is that concept important? Stay tuned. When I come back, I promise you I'll break that concept down for you.
Have Rajiv answer some questions for you. 206-421-1000 right now. 206-421-1000. Also, he's got seminars coming in March. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4 of them for sure. We'll get you dates coming up and explain more what they are all about.
Traffic on the 4s. Sponsored by Northwest Crawl Space Services.
From yesterday afternoon, it still stands, this wind advisory. Tacoma Narrows Bridge until further notice. 16 eastbound onto I-5, you're clear. No problems to report. 167 between Kent and Renton. That's both ways. And crash-free on I-5 and northbound into Everett. You're moving with no delays from the city. 405 southbound through Linwood, you're moving well. Construction this weekend has the I-5 southbound off-ramp to Boylston Avenue closed. That's in place until early Monday. Now, heads up, an earlier semi-rollover, State Road 18 near Tiger Mountain Summit. It rolled over into the ditch on its left side. Emergency vehicles are waiting for the tow to show up, and when it does, they'll close it both ways. Now, we got the Snoqualmie and the Stevens passes. Traction is required. Truckers and drivers alike in the Northwest News Radio 97.7 AM 1000 Traffic Center. I'm KT.
Forecast for the weekend here. We've got wet snow at times today. Otherwise, south winds are blowing here up to 25 miles per hour at times, clearing. But then again, cold tonight. It looks like snow could be sticking to the ground later tomorrow, overnight Sunday into Monday morning here. We will know more tomorrow what kind of inches we're looking at on the ground here around here, but for sure, more winter storm winter storm warning for the Cascades continues there, just about 1,000 feet or so. Here in Seattle right now, the wind's blowing, lots of clouds, and our temperature at 37.
So far away from me, so far I just can't see.
Yeah, retirement so far away, and then all of a sudden, what happened? You look in the mirror going, oh my gosh, I see gray hair. I see a wrinkle. It's getting close. Have I saved enough money here? Again, Rajiv, along with the radio show, he has these seminars that he puts together every month. He's planned 4 of them in March. Issaquah, March 1st. March 4th, Tacoma. March 6th, Federal Way. March 8th in Bellevue. 90 minutes in length. Free to attend. Bring a friend, a coworker, a neighbor here. Ask your questions. Get a feel for what retirement is and the things we never learned in school other than put a lot of money in the bank, get an IRA, and stay healthy. Rajiv, you have a lot of fun at these seminars, too, I can tell.
It is. It's such a joy just to be able to see people easily able to connect the dots and recognize that, oh my God, what I've been thinking that I need to do and what I should be doing are different. That's the greatest joy. And it's so easy. These are easy seminars. We present them in such an easy to understand term. And the bottom line, and before we went to the break, I said I want to break down a phenomenon that most nearly every one of us is guilty about when it comes to planning. And here's how that planning goes, right? What you should not be doing. Planning goes something like this. How old am I today? I'm 55. I need to be planning for retirement. Of course I need to. That's a smart thing to do. What's going to guide, what kind of wisdom is going to guide your actions? You're going to look at the next 3 to 5 years and what's visible to you mentally, or what picture you can conjure up, and you'll work on those things. So at 55, you're healthy, everything is good. Probably mentally you're thinking, I just need to go ahead and save money. I'll need lots of money when I retire, so you'll be focused on that one. Then you bump along, and then you turn 55. At 55, maybe you look back at the whole thing and say, well, what do I need to do now? You'll again look at the next 3 to 5 years. And then you'll say, well, I need to start thinking about when do I need to start pulling money from retirement, what about Social Security, etc. And before you know it, you're pondering, nothing really is happening, and you go to age 60. At 60, you start thinking, okay, at 65, I'm going to retire. So you go to 65. At 65, when you actually retire, then you say, oh, well, look at the next 5 years. What do I need to do? Well, we got this bucket list, and we're going to go chip. Travel and spend time with friends and family and have fun and volunteer and learn new tricks and all that. Whatever you got a bucket list. So you chip away at that. Well, that kind of gets old. Then you go another 3 to 5 years. Now you're 70. What happens at 70? You have your first medical episode. But nothing major, just a TIA or something. And then you start seeing, oh my God, my life is going to be a little bit more. Maybe I need to look at housing a little bit differently. Right? Then another 5 years go by, another 7 years go by, then you have your first major health episode, heart attack, stroke, dementia, something like that. All the family members start hovering around. Now it appears to you that, your aging is a family affair. Everyone's going to get involved. And I keep saying, is there anyone, if you're listening to the show, call me if you're absolutely supremely confident that you know exactly how your life is going to be and what your last day on earth is going to be. We don't know that. Won't it be a better day? We start with the last and what do I want in the very long run? And we back into the plan so that we don't have to constantly keep worrying about, okay, what do I need to do now? What do I need to do now? That's what life planning is. That's the coaching aspect of life planning. Helping you get rid of the ambiguities you have in life and have predictability about how your life is going to turn out.
All right, phone number 206-421-1000. Just think of some of your friends and the stories you've heard here. Seminars, March 1st, that's going to be in Issaquah. March 4th, Tacoma. March 6th, Federal Way. That's going to be an evening one. March 8th, he'll be in Bellevue. That's like right after the show. More details at lifepointlaw.com. Now, let's get set here. They give you some headlines from ABC News. We'll get you the top stories from Northwest News Radio and more of Aging Options, planning your retirement. 206-421-1000.
ABC News, I'm Dave Packer. A medical transport plane carrying 6 people, including a pediatric patient and her mother, crashed near a Philadelphia mall Friday evening. None of the 6 people on board survived. At least 1 person dead on the ground and at least 19 injured. ABC News contributor and aviation analyst John Nance on the
weather situation with about a 700-foot ceiling and visibility under that ceiling. It was pretty good, about 4 or 5 miles. Really doesn't have much potential for interfering, especially not to the point of a catastrophe.
Investigators recovering the black box from an Army Black Hawk helicopter that collided midair with a jetliner over the Potomac River, killing 67 people. Police boats continue searching for victims. 41 bodies recovered so far. Hamas today handing over Israeli-American hostage Keith Siegel, along with 2 other hostages, part of the ceasefire deal with Israel. California officials say the deadly Eaton and Palisades fires are now fully contained. This is ABC News.
Seattle's only all-news station, Northwest News Radio, 97.7 FM and AM 1000, NWNewsRadio.com. Here's Mark Christopher.
9:31 our time here, 37, cloudy and still windy. No snow here in downtown Seattle. We'll look at Shem's forecast, though, in a moment. Latest on what's happening for the rest of the weekend. Whatcom County, though, Bellingham area, they were hard hit last year with winter conditions. They are not taking any chances. The first mention of snow earlier in the week, they were already prepping way before the weekend began. Karina Vargas at Como 4 went to check on things.
Washed out officials say crews have been out putting some de-icers on the roads.
De-icer so helps to prevent the ice from building up on the roadways. And then when the snow comes, they change the product to more of like a sand mixture to provide more traction.
WashDOT also says they have a full fleet of snow plows ready to go. Last January, the city of Bellingham was hit with several inches of snow and even caused closures to businesses and schools.
No one can make it up the hills, and it's mostly all sledding all day.
With snow and ice expected, officials advising drivers to slow down.
Even if you don't see snow on the road or ice on the road, there could be black ice, which you can't see.
If you see snowplows on the road, officials also asked to give them some space as crews work. Because of the weather, some residents say they're opting to stay home.
It does get pretty slick, and a lot of the hills here tend to create a lot of small collisions, so it's usually better just to stay home.
If you work for Costco, if you have not heard, a tentative agreement may have prevented the largest strike from happening at Costco stores across the U.S. Word early this morning from CNN that Teamsters Union, representing 18,000 workers, have been negotiating over seniority pay, paid family leave, sick time, and other benefits. An agreement finally announced this morning, several hours after that midnight deadline. Terms of that agreement have not been revealed. KOMO4's Preston Phillips here telling us of a fatal stabbing mid-morning on Friday. Killed a man in the Fife area.
And officers responded to a stabbing near the Emerald Queen Casino along Pacific Highway East. Officers found a 63-year-old man with multiple stab wounds. They rushed him to a nearby hospital where he later died. Officers searched the area for possible suspects and found a 30-year-old man armed with a knife. He was taken into custody and booked into jail. No word yet on what led up to the stabbing or if the two knew each other.
Two members of drug trafficking organizations tied to Aryan prison gang sentenced to lengthy prison terms in U.S. District Court in Tacoma here. 54-year-old Eric Smith from Tacoma receiving a 12-year sentence. Sarah Thompson in her 30s from Bonnie Lake also sentenced to 7 years. Both arrested as part of an investigation into drug trafficking organizations connected to the Aryan family and other prison gangs. Checking on sports, Huskies on the court right now playing some basketball against Minnesota. And Pro Bowl tomorrow. Everything back in Orlando, Florida with all the festivities going on since Thursday. And, of course, the fun of all your NFL greats having some fun with a flag football game. You'll find sources on streaming there and, of course, your local cable services. Check that for more details. Look at traffic and some weather right now. We have 10 minutes on the 4s here at 9:34.
Traffic on the 4s. Sponsored by Northwest Crawl Space Services.
Traction tires required. Some blizzard conditions reported through the Snoqualmie and Stevens passes. Now we have this wind advisory that started yesterday afternoon. Tacoma Narrows Bridge mid-span still in place until further notice. Outside of these two issues, crash-free and dry roads as you move through the city on I-5. You will see delays for the boat show at Lumen Field today. 405 northbound from the Valley Freeway to Sunset Boulevard. No problems. And 405 both ways in between the Lake Washington bridges. You're moving with no delays. Also clear 520 eastbound between 405 and Redmond Way. In the Northwest News Radio 97.7 AM 1000 Traffic Center, I'm KT.
Ag KT, let's get to Shannon O'Donnell here at Como Weather Center here. Chief Meteorologist to get us all set up here on what's going on with the weather.
February weekend with a lowering snow level. Bursts of wet snow already out there today. Some sleety accumulations, especially in the Puget Sound convergence zone. On Sunday, cooler still, and there will be rotating showers moving through. That will fall mainly as snow throughout western Washington's lowlands. Could see accumulations up to 2 to 3 inches, although that will be the exception and not the rule. Many of us with nothing at all accumulating on the ground Sunday night into Monday, but where we do have some snow, it's definitely going to make an impact. So some feast or famine snow forecasting this weekend with our old showers and sunbreaks routine on Sunday. In the Como Fort Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell.
Wet snow or plain rain pretty much now with temperatures hitting 36 and 37. I'm looking at Everett, Tacoma. Now in Seattle, we're at 37 degrees here at Northwest News Radio. Hi, Mark Christopher. Good morning.
Need help? You've come to the right place. Welcome back to Aging Options on Northwest News Radio.
Again, the phone number to reach Rajiv here during the hour, 9 to 10 every Saturday, in helping you plan a retirement and giving you some great ideas and latest information. There's so much going on. 206-421-1000, 206-421-1000. Rajiv, you've got the radio program here every Saturday on Northwest News Radio from 9 to 10. I know you're doing some work again with public television. You've got the website, lifepointlaw.com, but you also have other sources and ways for people just to tune in and get some ideas about retirement. Why don't you share that?
You know, we do that. And for that, and each week, Mark, you see Alec in this office, in our studios. He's been doing this for a while. So why don't we introduce Alec to the world? Welcome to the real world, Alec. From the background, let's bring you to the forefront.
Oh, thank you, Rajiv. Yeah, I just wanted to let everyone know that you can also find us on YouTube, streaming live every week along with the radio show. And we have a weekly podcast that goes out, stuff you won't hear on the radio, goes out on YouTube and every major audio channel. And if you want more than that, you can also find us on Facebook and Instagram at Aging Options. So more Rajiv goodness, more insights into retirement and aging. Thank you.
Well, thanks so much, Alec. And you've been doing so. Where do people go ahead and get this podcast? And
my preference would be youtube.com. That's my favorite spot to go find our podcast. But you can also go to Spotify, Apple Music, or Amazon Music and find us there at Aging Options, the podcast.
Very good. Okay. So there you have it, guys. I mean, we've been doing this for a while now, and slowly but surely there are people who listen to us who actually watch the radio show go live. And how do people watch the live show? I mean, somebody wants to just go ahead and just sneak in up there. They don't want us to know that they're watching, but they want to go ahead and watch. How do they do that?
It's all on youtube.com. You just find the Aging Options channel. Just search Aging Options on youtube.com. We'll come right up. And if you go there right now, you'll see us live. You'll see Rajiv and Mark. You won't see me, but you will see Rajiv.
You know, I should mention, too, a lot of time people tune into radio and think, well, this is a national show. Rajiv's like in New York, and Mark's just working with modern technology back and forth. People, he's a local guy, like Federal Way. I mean, he's got a camp. You call it a campus. I went to it and thought, well, it's just a little business office here on 320th. I went by restaurants, and oh, no, it's like a campus with plenty of free parking. And you walk in and you go, okay, you can tell they're here for some serious matters and helping you planning a better retirement. You do some of your seminars there. It's big enough there with a great room. Otherwise, you get out to Bellevue like you're going to be doing here in March. Federal Way, you're going to do one there. Tacoma. Again, if you want to see these free seminars, 90 minutes of all about planning retirement here. He doesn't just sit there and say, here's what you're going to do. He's going to go, what do you want to know? And then it begins. 90 minutes free. Bring a friend, coworker. Go to the lifepointlaw.com website. Click on events, and you'll see it listed all right there. You're just doing so much, Rajiv.
You know, it's fun doing what I do, and it's been a fun ride. It started off when I was 40 years of age. I'm 63 now, and for 23 years, when I look back and say, what have we created, what have we helped, every single day, Mark, I mean, this is what I say to my staff. If we can just help one person avoid being put into a nursing home, we met our mission, right? That's all that I'm looking for, is to... Because this misery that we deal with, this unknown that we deal with, it doesn't need to be that way. It can be done easily. And what we've created is something that can be found anywhere else. It cannot be touched anywhere else. So it's a great joy. And by the way, if you happen to live in an area that we don't go anymore, there was a time that I used to go from Bellingham. We did seminars there all the way down to Olympia and everything in between, all the way to the peninsula and all that. We don't do that anymore because we had to, after the pandemic, shut down most of the offices. Our main office is in Federal Way. That's where we are. So if you happen to be, let's say, in Linwood, and I get calls regularly, and I say, if you want to put together a group of people, a minimum of 25 people who want to be in that group, I'm happy to come down and talk to your group. So if you're in a part of a church, a book club, or maybe an investors club or something like that, you want somebody to come really talk about breakdown retirement planning, and you don't want to travel from, let's say, Marysville down to Federal Way or Bellevue to go ahead and see a seminar, I'm happy to try and accommodate you, but you'll have to do the legwork and get the people out there and get me a venue that I can talk at. So
and he does it for free. This is what's so great.
It doesn't cost you anything.
How many people live in places, Rajiv, where they got the swimming pool, it's a community pool built right there where everybody lives in your area, and then you've also got this party room or community gathering room. Holds 25 people. There you go. That'd be a great venue for Rajiv. And again, lifepointlaw.com for more details and maybe how to be a hero to so many.
Yeah, and you can just email at radio@agingoptions.com. You can email there, or info@lifepointlaw.com. You can get a hold of us. Just go to either one of the websites and Google it, and we can make something happen. But Mark, I want to get back to the stories up here.
Yeah.
One of the stories that we have here is talking about how do we sort through all the best places to retire list. Tony, man, I mean, you did such a great job putting this story together today. And when you read the article itself, you take a look at what kind of sites are there, and in the bottom of the article, Tony's done a good job compiling the list. Next Avenue has its list. U.S. News has its list. Forbes, Bankrate, Motley Fool, Realtor.com, Wallet Hub. They've got all of these places. They've got some connection to which is the best place you should retire, and you read it. And unfortunately, I mean, there's some commonality, but each one of these is coming to it from a different angle. And the question that I ask is, if you really follow this advice, which is what many of us are going to end up doing, if you follow the advice, will you find nirvana at the end of the rainbow? Let's answer that when we come back after the break.
He's got you right there, I know. Rating the list. Best places to retire. Okay, that's just one of many. All the fun of Aging Options. If you have questions anytime, no matter where you are in the middle of a situation in retirement or in planning as well, if you got a job, you're old enough to talk about retirement, okay? Even if it's your first job. 206-421-1000. Hang with us here, Aging Options, every Saturday from 9 to 10. It's all for you.
Hi, it's Brian Calvert thanking you for listening to Aging Options. For more great options to help guide your future, go to AgingOptions.com. That's AgingOptions.com. And select blogs under the Free Learning Center tab. AgingOptions.com.
Traffic on the 4s. Sponsored by Northwest Crawl Space Services.
And after a crash partially blocking the I-5 southbound off-ramp at Marine View, the tow truck just showed up, so you are delayed on the approach. Now, oversized vehicles prohibited, traction tires required through the Snoqualmie and Stephen passes. State Road 18, earlier, rollover semi landed in the ditch on its left side, and they are going to have to get that out of the ditch. When they do, they will close State Road 18 at Tiger Mountain Summit. We've got a wind advisory started yesterday afternoon, still going until further notice. Tacoma Narrows Bridge mid-span, and we're crash free on our freeways, including 405, I-5, and the Valley Freeway through Renton. In the Northwest News Radio 97.7 AM 1000 Traffic Center, I'm KT.
Weekend forecast here. The latest we're looking at for Seattle and the western Washington region here. Breaking the clouds, otherwise windy conditions will continue from the south there up to 25 miles per hour here. A bit breezy for most of the morning already. Some areas have had some wet snow. You might have some more here after dark. And then overnight through tomorrow, cold temperatures moving in. It's what's coming perhaps tomorrow afternoon. Overnight Sunday and Monday, they could put a couple of inches on the ground. Just be advised. And it continues up in the mountains. That snow level drops here to about 500 feet by tomorrow, or even down to the surface. We'll see what happens here. Cold with flurries on Monday as well. Current temperature right now with windy conditions. Clouds above. We're at 37 options every Saturday from 9 to 10 here at Northwest News Radio. Rajiv Nagaich as your host. Going through the rating, the lists here when it comes to retirement, like best places to retire, best car to drive, best foods to eat. Rajiv, you're just smiling with the more I mention these lists here.
Well, I mean, the lists are somebody's subjective analysis about what you should be looking for in retirement, right? And so I was just looking during this break, I was looking, the last place is a list of best places to retire overseas. And guess what? Mexico, Greece, Colombia, Portugal, Spain being number 1, Mexico being number 5, and then, of course, there are other lists. France makes the list of countries that you should retire, maybe think about retiring. Italy makes the list. There's several countries but who is thinking about this stuff, right? And what is the charm about these places? Low cost of living, access to good health care, etc. And I'm saying, okay, in the very end, in the very long run, what do you want out of life? Well, darn it, I mean, the day, and I have watched this phenomena over time, that the older you become, the more you want to go back to your roots, right? And so you end up, in the end, there's going to be nothing better than having a secure place where you're surrounded by your loved ones in your old age, and you don't have to travel and learn new things, and you're always going to be a foreigner in somebody's eyes. So what is the question that should be asked in the housing area? The housing area question, and this is how I coach my clients to think about housing. Instead of saying I want to have fun and happiness and all these things, where to retire, fun, this is all when you're healthy. But the day that you lose your health, what happens to you then? So a better housing plan should be, instead of looking at where should I retire when I'm healthy, let's ask this question. I want to build that type of retirement plan for a housing plan that assures me that I can live in this house and with as much freedom, autonomy, and fun as I can while I'm healthy. But the day that I fall ill, I have that plan in place that just about guarantees me that the care is going to come to me. I don't have to move out. but I will not be a burden to my loved ones. My spouse, my children will not have to do things for me. And I'm not going to go broke paying for the care because Medicare is not going to cover any of this cost. If you frame the housing issue from that perspective, the very long run perspective, then you say, will moving to Florida solve the problem? Will moving to the Caribbean solve the problem? Will moving to Belize solve that problem? Well, as long as you're healthy, you'll have everything. But the day that you fall ill, you think it'll be easy for your family members to be part of you. It'll be easy for you to be able to see and relate to your loved ones that you spent a lifetime with. And is that really the outcome that you're hoping for? So when you read these articles, you almost have to go ahead and say, whose perspective is being represented here? And talking about the word perspective, Mark, and we've done that, and let me share this with you. A 55-year-old child of yours who is, let's say, in the U.S. and you're in Belize.
Right.
And you've named this 55-year-old child as your agent. And there's the 85-year-old you in Belize who fell down for the third time this week. And the kid is informed about it. What's going to go through the kid's mind?
Well, sure.
Oh, geez, my dad's in trouble. I better do something about the whole thing. What is the American system of doing something? The farther you are, the more the burden you are.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to abandon you. It's just as going to be how many hoops do they have to jump through to be able to come to your aid, to your rescue? How many days do they have to take off from work? How many things they have to do? Even if you were in the same town, let's say right here in the state of Washington or in the Seattle area, the 55-year-old will have to do something to keep you safe. What is the American system to keep old disabled people safe? What is that system?
I hear crickets.
Institutional care.
Right.
Group home, assisted living, nursing home.
It's the only
Look at
answer
it
we've
through the
already been
85-year-old's mind.
Yeah.
85-year-old, when I fall down for the third time, what goes through my mind? Oh, geez.
Oh, yeah.
I'm in trouble. You won't ever say it out loud. You'll probably even acknowledge that if you take me to a group home, I'll probably be 100% safe. But darn it, I will be 500% miserable.
Yeah. Yeah. And what do we do?
So at some point in your life, mark my word, you will start making a bargain with yourself. You will start trading a small amount of safety for 100% of happiness. I'm willing to give up 10, 15% of my safety. What if it's okay for me to fall down?
Mm-hmm.
But at least I'm in my environment that I'm happy. But whose perspective is going to end up winning? It's always the younger person's perspective because the laws were written by people who are much younger, legislators 40 to 60, judges who enforce the laws 40 to 60, lawyers 40 to 60, your agents that you name in your documents 40 to 60. They have no clue about what it is going to be at 85. Quite frankly, even you don't have a clue what it'll feel like, what your mindset will be when you fall down for the third time this week.
Well, we always hear it. Either the mind goes or the body goes. It's never together. And then you got to share that percentage again, Rajiv, as people going, I'm not going to get sick. I've been healthy all my life. You know, I've been out in the field going for running and go to the gym. Percentage is where right now that people are going to likely fall ill.
So that's why I say read these articles with a grain of salt. Whose perspective is being represented? And you need to be unique to you. What is your perspective?
And it was 70%.
That's what a coach will do, is to help you bring out that perspective. Write your legal documents that are steeped with your perspective so that when somebody else has to act on those documents, they are bound to live by your perspective, not the legal perspective, not the guardianship perspective, not the elder abuse perspective. They are bound by your perspective because the law says if you are going to create a perspective and somebody else is an agent, they have to do your bidding.
Yeah, that's a lot. And again, the percentage you were saying was like 70% of Americans, something usually goes wrong where they need some care. It's not healthy.
70% of Americans do not get to live out their life at home. That's the stat.
Yeah.
You can't argue that. I mean, you can't wish it away.
Yeah.
Those are just the numbers as they fall out. Are you the 70%? Are you the 30%?
Yeah. Okay. Everything that Rajiv's speaking of, again, he's looking at the blog. So everything, every show is posted. Once Tony, the producer, executive producer, sets it all up, he puts it right, gets it all set up at lifepointlaw.com. under blog. Then click on events. This is where Rajiv gets out and does these fresh seminars, free seminars about retirement planning. Bring a guest, free to attend, 90 minutes in length. He's got March 1st set up, 11:30 in the morning. He's got one set up in Tacoma. That'll be at 6:30 p.m. That's in one of the finer hotels there. Life Point Law Campus there. He's got one set up if you want to see home base. That'll be on March the 6th. And then in Bellevue, he's going to be over there on March the 8th. 90 minutes, free to attend. Bring a friend, a coworker. Everybody's like, oh, you got to be retired to go. No, you don't. If you got a job, yes, then you can attend. Just early, late, whatever. No age requirement here to attend those seminars. Rajiv, tease us a little bit. You got one more segment coming up. You got time for any more things to share this week?
Well, if there's, when we come back, I just want to cover the last topic we have, managing somebody else's finances. And this article does a good job, but maybe you should be asking 2 or 3 other questions that this article doesn't really highlight.
Okay. LifePointLaw.com, as he shares managing a loved one's finances. What a great topic. They are like this every week. Again, LifePointLaw.com, home base. Make it a bookmark, a favorite. You'll visit it weekly. Right now, on the 4s, we have traffic and weather for you.
Traffic on the 4s, sponsored by Northwest Crawl Space Services.
Mark talking about the snow on its way. So far, dry roads, crash-free on our Lake Washington bridges into and out of the city. Now, weekend construction does have the southbound I-5 off-ramp to Boylston Avenue closed. And the Snoqualmie and Stephen passes. Traction tires required. We are accident-free on 99 through downtown, north and southbound, and no problems. I-5 in between Boeing Field and the Convention Center. Though seeing traffic slow, I-5 southbound traffic getting their way to the Lumen Field for the boat show going on all day today. And looking at 405, no problems. Southbound from Coal Creek Parkway to Sunset Boulevard. In the Northwest News Radio 97.7 AM 1000 Traffic Center, I'm KT.
And a forecast for the weekend here, first day of February. Groundhogs will call winter tomorrow, 6 more weeks, or is spring coming early? Just want to sneak that in. Cloudy conditions, breezy conditions will continue. Wet snow possible, maybe a stray thunderstorm. Get a little bit of everything here. Temperatures today will hit about 43 for a high. Overnight lows will be in the mid to upper 30s. Cloudy tomorrow, then late in the day into Monday. That's when we could see some snow around the Puget Sound. Anywhere in western Washington with accumulation. Just how much, we'll know more on that tomorrow, but just plan for some snow anywhere at 500 feet or above. Right. Retire because maybe you own your home and you planned well. But this show proves, nope. We've got questions. 206-421-1000. Okay, managing a loved one's finances has your attention this week is another topic.
And this article, the last article really is where the rubber meets the road if you're doing legal planning. And the legal planning basically is steeped in the reality that when we fall ill, we need to name somebody else to be the agent. And the question that I pose to everyone is this article does a good job. It says, look, there are 4 things that are the unknowns there, if you will. When will it be time to help? When will you know it's time for you to step in? How do you get the conversation started? Where do you begin? And what are the important questions to ask? When I read this article and I say, okay, what did I walk away from a practical perspective? More questions than I walk away with answers appear. And all these things with life planning can be taken care of. A family meeting, having clear understanding about health, housing, finance. So if somebody is asking you, will you become my agent? And I'd say, I will become your agent if you will do the work the way that I want to. Because these questions, they need to be addressed ahead of time. So great article, take a look at that one. And better yet, if you get a chance after you read all these articles, go to one of the seminars that's going to come up in March. And I'll show you as to, this is so easy to fix if you know how to frame the issue properly. It's all in the framing. Mark?
Just maybe you can take this as a New Year's gift. I have a bonus of about 1.5 minutes more of your show if you'd like. I told you I was doing some work on the program here a little bit for the new year, and it took me to February, but got about a minute to go here if you'd like to go on something else here. How about the
I think, we talk about the same issue, and it is interesting that January turns out to be, it is one of the months that most people will want to go ahead and do some planning. And true to form, we had like 5 seminars. Each and every one of them was pretty packed.
Yeah.
And it's good information to get out. And every week I keep looking at this stuff. When will America wake up and say that, all these tariff wars we're talking about, everything else we're talking about, probably all important in the bigger realm of things. But individually, when will America wake up and say, a society giving me a 70% chance that I will not be able to live out at home? Yeah. That's not an acceptable proposition.
Yeah.
The fact that it's just about a guarantee that following the planning methodology that everyone asked me to follow, I will be a burden to my children. I don't want to be there. When will America rise up and say this is not the way that we want to? Until that day happens, that the society changes the rules and the laws and how we conduct, it's up to you to do what you need to do.
Yeah, and again, maybe it's just how many of us cleaned out closets at New Year's, and you're looking at some of the old pictures. Karen and I did it, Rajiv. Wow, look at remember that? Honey, look where we're at now. Are we ready for retirement? Are we ready to plan it? Do we have enough information? Well, 1 hour of this show every Saturday from 9 to 10 with Rajiv, you'll get that answer. And again, he promotes these seminars, and I like the idea, Rajiv, is saying, look, if you got a little venue where you live, holds about 25 people, get the people there, and Rajiv will come out. He does these for free. Right now, he's got Issaquah for March 1st, Tacoma March 4th, Federal Way March the 6th, Bellevue for 90 minutes as well on March the 8th. 90 minutes in Leif, free to attend. For more details, in fact, even register your name so you can get a count of how many people are going to be there. Go to lifepointlaw.com. And again, everything that Rajiv spoke of here, with a hiring retirement coach, rating lists that are coming out, managing a loved one's finances, can all be found at the website lifepointlaw.com. Rajiv, enough for final words of the show and get us going with a smile knowing that we have more knowledge.
There you go. And age on, everyone. We'll see you again next week. Same time, same place. Till then, age on.
The preceding program was paid for by LifePoint Law.